17th of April, 12:41 p.m., the Old Bailey Defendants Antechamber. Hey guys, Lex here, back for some more of the Great Ace Attorney. Last time we finished the second summation examination, and let's just get into it so we could meet Eggert Benedict again. Ah, Gina, how are you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now.
Ginny! Are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me? What? Well, you saw it, that picture.
What picture?
Ah, you mean this? The photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed recorder? Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. It's hopeless. Anyone who sees that's gonna think I did it, ain't they?
Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court.
Surely you gotta have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent.
Of course I can.
Ginny, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Arnold's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still, we'd really like to hear it from you.
Yeah, tell us so it'll be easier for the trial to go through.
Alright then. It was after we had that dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we'd all had a chat up in your office, didn't we?
Yes, I remember.
After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street to the 2-to-1, to Winterbank's place. I had to know.
If Iris' story was there or not, out of the Baskervilles?
I don't know what it's about or nothing. But if you ask me, there's something in it that Shams didn't like. Something what he don't want people reading. So that's why he lied to Iris about sticking it in the mug with Winterbank for safekeeping.
What?
At least, that's what I thought at the time.
So you broke into Winterbank's?
I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea how that was gonna tick it off, did I? I struck the lock and snuck inside. It was dark as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp in the counter a bit of wick, and that's when...
What do you think you're doing?
Ah! I nearly died, I did. Next thing I knew... I grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like I don't know what.
You're the girl who was in here this afternoon. I don't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery.
The mantle script. If you got it here. Did Shams leave a load of papers with you? A story?
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Hound of something or other. If it's here, I want to see it.
I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers.
I don't want it. What would I want to do with it anyway? I just want to see if it's here, that's all.
Oh, you want to see it, do you?
I want to know if Shams really pointed it or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go.
Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you? Damn, I don't remember how I voiced him.
So then the old Colvin unlocked the storeroom door, and we both went inside.
I don't think I'm voicing her right either. I think I'm off today.
It was there alright, the mantle script. Shams weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Ginny? Anyway, there was a bit of a kick-up out in the main bit of the shop.
The Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene, yes?
Oh, what's that noise? Someone's breaking in.
Dear me, is there some burglars convention there tonight that I don't know about?
I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry.
I'd better go and take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back?
Oh, well, I'll come with you then.
Now, don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances.
I was there. He took the gun off my hands and walked back out into the shop. I hung back in the storeroom, like you said, straining my ears in the dark to hear to what's going on. It sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. Started to think I should help, see? I was just about to go out and storeroom myself when...
Oh, 2 shots.
I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And there he was, right at my feet, lying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it shut and locked it quick as you like.
Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Winbank might come for you?
Yeah, so I went and grabbed the old cove's gun. Figured I'd put up a fight at least. But when I got a better look at him, I knew. Winterbank was a corner. I felt funny in my head all of a sudden, kinda dizzy. After that, I don't remember nothing.
That must be when you passed out, Gina.
If I ain't done what I done, the old cove might be still alive.
Did you tell the police everything you just told us?
Of course I did, but they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. It'll be alright, Ginny. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. I was about to put the real culprit through the mill. That cove was there in the afternoon. That Eggert Benedict. I still remember how he looked at me like I was nothing. He was there that night.
Why didn't you say so before? You don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. Appreciate your honesty. If you told us this before, that he was there, we wouldn't have to get lucky to figure it out in the first place.
He what? You need to leave it all in Runo's capable hands now, Ginny. Mr. Nara Odo?
Yes.
How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened to you before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilded, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the bog trotter off with him, even though he was the killer.
No, I could never forget that.
Oh.
I did what I thought was best at the time. But the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, I don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what.
But what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know.
I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial.
You were?
Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who'd done it.
Oh, Runo.
there was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. My best friend. Ryunosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest. So happy, I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first.
What are you saying?
I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down.
You know I'm a diver and a no-good liar.
You're not like McGilded. I know that.
Eh? That's right, you're a friend, Jenny. Iris.
I know you better than you think. And we come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust.
Yes,
That's really all we need to know.
exactly. Oh, Mr. Naruto, I...
Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. Yes, of course, thank you. I'd been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time. I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last, the final chapter, the final battle. Wish me luck, Sasato-san, and hope you're watching over me too, partner. And see you guys next time. And we're back. 17th of April, 1:41 p.m. in the Old Bailey Courtroom. I hereby call the court to order to resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Van Sakes, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communication station where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. I see. Then let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's braces of the case heard by the court this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. Although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom. Makes sense.
It's a big mistake to cross Hurley and me. A very big mistake.
Don't threaten the judge.
My lord, the subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building.
Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay. Mr. Eggert Benedict. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon, and certainly not like this. fourth brother. Thank you for complying with the court's subpoena at such a short notice, sir. But of course, my lord, as an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. Now kindly state your name and occupation for the record. Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer.
Mr. Graydon and I both work at London Central Communication Station.
Now perhaps someone will kindly explain what all this is about. You were appraised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume. Yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation, indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know. Very well. Without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath. Gladly, my lord, gladly. Accusation. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbrokering services from time to time. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation, even if certain parties here present claim that my blood was found on the scene. Some scratch-mouthed detective's homebrewed tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. I agree. So you're denying the accusation completely, do you? I must say I am dismayed for the highest court in the land to be swayed by this self-professed detective's toy. It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld. It would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors today. By golly. How long am I expected to be detained here? If following the defense's cross-examination your involvement in this matter has not been established, you will be free to leave immediately. Good, then I shall be away in time for afternoon tea, some small consolation at least. Let us not hold up Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary, counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination. So, we meet again, Mr. Eggert Benedict. Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies, you are? Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We have met. If you say so, Ashley Graydon, enchanté. So. I trust we can conclude this quickly. But I'm now holding your flashy head while we do. Put it on! Guess I have to press them all, and then one of those two guys are gonna be like, oh! Hold it! Yes, we even met in the very pawnbrokery where the crime took place on the afternoon of the day in question. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. It was Mr. Eggert Benedict, I believe. Tell me, what are you? The witness is here to testify about the events that took place that night. He is under no obligation to answer such unrelated questions. Can't be serious. Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such an inappropriate question. So he's going to be evasive, is he? In an effort not to give anything away. This could be tricky. Hold it! Have you seen these two men before? This pair? No, I don't associate with criminals. It's a by the man who introduced himself as Eggert Benedict. I'd like to know who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me? The young lawyer there in the black. This is a farce. Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in the British court anyway? Well, needless to say.
Hold it!
Where were you at around 1 in the morning on the night in question, sir? That is past the hour at which I would normally retire. Certainly. I was not in the company of these rapscallions. You're able to prove that?
Objection!
Listen carefully, my learned Nipponese friend. For you to appear to be under a gross misapprehension on this point. What do you mean? The witness maintains he was not at the scene of the crime. He has no obligation to prove his absence. Your accusation is that the witness was present at the scene. The obligation lies with you to prove your assertion. You will fulfill that obligation before putting any more unreasonable question to the witness. A silent victory wiggle, thanks.
Hold it!
Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There's no question of that. Mr. Sholmes' chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such. But I am not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholmes' chemical is able to differentiate between blood samples by... Spare me a little science lesson. Who is this Sholmes character anyway? Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know the name. He's a great, well, a renowned detective. So, even you are unable to bring yourself to say great detective. A great detective, you say? Now we're in the realm of fairy tales, are we? Look at his face.
Excuse me!
You have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin? What? Me? No, the Mr. Skulkin next to you. Right, I added up with this. How many times have I got to tell you? Yes, I know, you're not Big Bruv Skulky. Mr. Nash Skulkin. Eh? God blimey, Gov. You what? Not the case with Mr. Graydon just spoke. A thought went through your mind. Would you care to share that thought with the court? My thoughts? I don't have none of them. I must have been him. You what? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke? Nothing, honest, Gov, nothing. I was just thinking. If he waves his arm around like that and much more, it'll open up the wound again, that's all. What wound? Where he took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, well, you know, I was worrying for him and... God. Oh, Wales Bales. Mr. Graydon, did you hear that? What? Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. On account of your injured arm. My lord. Yes, Mr. Graydon. I have no idea what these two riches are talking about. Suddenly I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. I know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. From the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm, or thereabouts. Perhaps you'd allow the court official to examine your arm, sir? The left arm that you're currently collapsing with your right hand, as if in pain? No, I refuse. You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I am now obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in this. I've never had anything to do with pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. I take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved. You claim to have nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery? Lord, the defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's formal testimony. Very well, Consul. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon. Hey, I got all my stars back again. I think the music box disc.
Objection!
Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? This disc was, until the day of his murder, in pawn in Mr. Windibank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. That somebody was you, of course. Wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I have reiterated numerous times by now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there's a small smear of blood on the disc. Ah, yes. Resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps. That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of the smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch. Good gracious, indeed it must. Mr. Graydon. You refuse to allow the court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc. Well. It would seem I underestimated you. What is the meaning of this? So you admit it now? You admit you have a scratch on your thumb, and when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant. Order. Well, Mr. Graydon. It would appear that there has been something of a misunderstanding here. You did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence, my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. As you wish. Though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. Disc. There's a note on the disc saying, form gilded, but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Bullshit.
Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say, the famous London philanthropist? Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of distinctly messy murder.
Yes, my lord. The one and the same.
Good Lord, Mr. Graydon. Are you saying that Mr. McGilded and yourself were acquainted?
Yes, that's correct.
Order. Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered here in my courtroom again.
According to what Gina told us, the disc was placed in pawn at that fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windybanks.
It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it?
In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Windybanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason.
Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please.
Hold it!
Would you care to explain how this belongs to you? As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary.
You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir.
So you see, I have little need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery and trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties, having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand, which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question. Clearly that was your overcoat? Obviously, in my haste I clean forgot that the music box disc was in its pocket. And yet there is a note on it that reads, "For McGilded." I'm a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met Mr. McGilded at a gentleman's club in the city, and was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area.
So, the disc in question
Is a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it. But then you forgot that it was in the pocket of the overcoat you were forced to pawn. Yes, exactly.
Gina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she?
No, because McGilded had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means that if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury.
Oh dear, this is complicated, isn't it?
Let's leave it alone for the time being. No, I want to know what happened.
Hold it!
You're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from her pocket or bag? That's right. Despite being mindful of danger when walking in the insalubrious areas her kind frequent,
Objection!
Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokery that day, prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Windybanks. To get your hands on Mr. McGilded's disc.
Objection!
My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense. Nonsense?
I concur with the prosecution. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear?
Yes, my lord. Then I will continue my testimony for what possible use it can be.
Hold it!
Had you ever been to Windybanks before? Only once, for the purposes of pawning something. But like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments. So when you have noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, You chased after her, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
I didn't notice at first, of course. Such is the art of the pickpurse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbroker at once, in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. He can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this. What did we do with a piece of paper? Did we toss it or something?
Hold it!
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right. This was the very man. Apparently the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilted as evidence.
Excuse me!
Didn't you pull a gun on us? Is there something wrong, Inspector? What do you mean? The last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way. No, it didn't. It's nothing. Leave it alone. Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilted's possessions? I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine. What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets? Yes, exactly. You should know all about that. Magnus McGilted, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. A man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life, yet he had a dark side too. Where are you going with this, Van Zeeks? I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they? That's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out what we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know. Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector. The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you gotta need Lord Strongheart's paw print first. What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zeeks here. Well, it would appear that the Inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let us return to your testimony. Gladly, my lord.
Hold it!
Perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items? No, not at all. Oh. A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac. In that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilted's disc. Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. There was no more in the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. So there was nothing of Mr. McGilted's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true.
I know. If you have some evidence, I'd let him have it. I'm dying to see that irritatingly assured expression of his crumble.
Mr. McGilted slipped that disc into his coat and pocket and had it deposited in the banks. Then when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket.
There's no doubt about it. That witness is lying through his pearly white teeth.
The police were obviously after anything left behind McGilted as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day.
But Grexy's being very strange about all this.
There must be a reason for that, I'm sure. Just don't know what it is. For now I need to focus on exposing the fact that Mr. Graydon is lying about his testimony. It's the last one, and I gotta present something. It's the... where's it? What's this thing?
Objection!
Oh, shit. That scared me. Because I accidentally pressed Y when I meant to press A. That disc was deposited at Winterbanks on Magnus McGilded's instructions. You do that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection!
Conjecture again, and in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbrokery again that night.
Objection!
Sorry, my learned friend, but that's not true. What? Mr. McGilded had another article in pawn at Winterbanks, as this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. There were 2 articles belonging to Mr. McGilded in Winterbanks' pawnbrokery. The reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one, together with your 2 accomplices, the Skulkin brothers.
This is the second ticket, is it?
What had that man deposited? The article and description reads, 1 small box.
A rather vague description, it seems to me.
Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point.
Indeed, the witness makes a solid argument.
So that means that for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zakes?
I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Winterbanks' pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. What?
Good gracious.
Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please.
Yes, sir.
What prints? These prints were taken from one of the detective security cameras.
Aren't these red-handed recorders again?
As previously explained, using this plan of the shop layout. The victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set up to capture the counter which Mr. Winterbank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed for sale once forfeited. I was thinking that second camera was going to be used for the stereoscope thing. According to the information on this ticket, McGilded's small box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident at 9 p.m. on the 13th of April, to be precise. Which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items in the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. It's at 11 p.m. on 15th of April.
The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear.
I think it's that music box. And then here we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident.
I see, so we have 2 pictures to compare. Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold.
Where's the stereoscope?
Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache.
Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one possible motive in this case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life.
So your men have already compared these 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector?
Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints. Can't see the difference. Am I blind? I'm not gonna cross my eyes. Whatever.
And yours conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both. In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question, and my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy.
Don't believe it.
If I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilded's pawn box, I might have been able to break him down at last.
You know what, Bruno? I've been thinking.
To the rotoscope, Furby. I can't see the difference.
I wonder if these two photographs are exactly the same.
Yes, do it already. What?
So, counsel, in the light of evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that in fact, on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these two prints? Yes. Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something if I may.
Try something? What do you mean, counsel?
I need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy.
I'm not entirely sure, fellow. Which piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you identify the discrepancy between the two prints?
Take that!
I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the two prints stereoscopically.
Ooh! Yes, you've got the book at last. You can't resist it, can you?
You've got the cross-eye compulsion. Juror number 3, what a surprise.
Come on, Bruno. Let's put the picture in the place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us.
Yes.
There we go. Now look through the eyepiece.
Wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between these two prints.
What? You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel.
Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy which you speak. Is it here?
Take that!
Granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there's one minor discrepancy between them.
What?
Oh yeah, you're right. It's obvious now. When you view these two pictures stereoscopically, a single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box.
Let me wait. Unbelievable.
Want to see this in 3DS? Oh god!
By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary.
Can't stand the cross-eyed. Can't stand it at all. What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilded's small box was indeed not stolen from Windibanks on the night in question. However, there could be no doubt that somebody picked up the particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves.
Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilded is in fact?
Yes, that very same small box I just identified in these two photographic prints.
Objection!
Mindless guesswork. What if it was?
So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means, quite simply, that nothing has changed. That may be true, but... Alright, McGilded's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? It changes everything. I believe this changes everything about the case.
How can that possibly be?
The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting at the shelves at Windibanks as we speak.
Objection!
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial.
The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Six. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination.
Hey. Alright guys, I think I'm going to stop it right here, and next time we'll continue the trial. Thanks for watching. Bye.